GCPD Files, fully incorporating Davis Lamont, the Balloon Man, followed by Mad Hatter, Jervis Tetch, and notes on Tweedledum and Tweedledee to set up Part 2. All information is kept intact exactly as you provided, presented in an official GCPD case file format. GCPD Gotham Files Part 1. Subject file Davis Lamont, alias the Balloon Man. Name Davis Lamont, alias the Balloon Man. Known occupation social worker at Gotham Homeless East Shelter. Threat classification vigilante serial murderer. Status incarcerated. Blackgate Penitentiary hash background. Davis Lamont served as a social worker at the Gotham Homeless East Shelter, known for his compassion toward Gotham's neglected, impoverished, and abandoned citizens. His years of exposure to Gotham's corruption, politicians exploiting the poor, police shaking down the defenseless, and systemic abuse, eventually caused a psychological break. Lamont became disillusioned, believing that Gotham's corrupt elite had escaped justice for too long. In response, he adopted the persona, the Balloon Man, using industrial-grade weather balloons to abduct and kill individuals he deemed guilty. Each victim was strapped to a large helium balloon rig and lifted into the sky until the balloon ruptured at high altitude, sending the victim plummeting to death. Known victims. 1. Ronald Danzer, corrupt businessman responsible for a massive Ponzi scheme that bankrupted hundreds. 2. Latter Bill Cranston, GCPD detective known for violent misconduct and bribery. 3. Cardinal Quinn, Catholic priest charged with multiple counts of child molestation. Lamont believed these deaths were justice the system refused to serve. Apprehension. Detectives Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock tracked Lamont to his final location. Upon confrontation, Lamont attempted to escape by attaching a weather balloon to himself, intending to flee the scene the same way he murdered his victims. Gordon leapt onto Lamont's leg as he ascended. Bullock fired a shot at the balloon to prevent lift. Batman arrived in time to catch both men as they fell. Lamont was arrested, charged, and transferred to Blackgate Penitentiary. Connection to Joker. At some point post-incarceration, Lamont provided balloon supplies and rigging equipment to the Joker, materials later used during one of Joker's schemes involving a giant weather balloon flown over Gotham. This cooperation was transactional and not considered a formal affiliation. GCPD Gotham Files Part 2. Next target, Mad Hatter and Tweedledum Tweedledee. Subject file, Jervis Tetch alias the Mad Hatter. Name Jervis Tetch, alias the Mad Hatter. Occupation, former neuroscientist. Criminal mastermind affiliations. Wonderland Gang, Secret Six, formerly Wayne Enterprises. The Society threat level, extreme, mental manipulator. Early life. As a child, Jervis Tetch was small for his age, socially isolated, and bullied. His only comfort was a girl named Alice D., who treated him kindly. Tetch fell deeply in love with her, but the affection was not returned. Desperate to grow taller to impress her, Jervis begged his parents to take him to a doctor, who revealed a testosterone deficiency. Jervis was subjected to experimental hormone treatments, which initially triggered rapid growth, but soon caused premature balding, severe psychological deterioration, heightened aggression, early signs of obsession. At a school dance, Alice rejected him, triggering intense emotional trauma. The thumping of his pet rabbit, once comforting, began to infuriate him. In a psychotic episode, Jervis killed the rabbit with his bare hands. Horrified, his parents committed him to Arkham Detention for Youth. Early crimes. As an adult, Tetch lived in a boarding house run by Ella Littleton, befriending her daughter Connie. When Connie became pregnant, she lied that she had been raped by the Gotham Hawks baseball team. Ella convinced Tetch they were bad kids, and he used early mind control tech to brainwash a player into planting a pipe bomb, killing the team. This incident remained undiscovered for years. Tetch's obsession with Lewis Carroll intensified. He built his identity around Alice in Wonderland and adopted the criminal persona, the Mad Hatter. His first murder was Alice Young, sister of Sam Young, fulfilled through a trafficker to satisfy Tetch's delusions of being with Alice. Rise to criminal infamy. Began with a robbery at a prestigious Gotham yacht club. Was confronted repeatedly by Batman, eventually captured with help from reporter Vicky Vale. Worked as a neuroscientist at Wayne Enterprises, where he developed advanced mind control circuitry. Later kidnapped young girls for tea parties and enslaved them until stopped by Batman. Declared insane and committed to Arkham Asylum. Tetch's obsessions: controlling minds, hats, collecting Batman's cowl, recreating Wonderland, possessing Alice. Major criminal episodes: mind control rampages, controlled Scarecrow with a mind control hat, attempted mass brainwashing via Walkman devices, brainwashed GCPD detectives Montoya and Crispus Allen. Almost killed: a mind-controlled Arkham guard tried to break Tetch out. The guard was killed, Tetch was shot multiple times and critically injured. Under Black Mask, worked for Black Mask, mind-controlling girls, and even implanting a control chip directly into Killer Croc. Croc eventually mutated again and broke free. Croc attempted to kill Tetch. Batman intervened, saving Tetch but re-arresting him. War of Jokes and Riddles. Hired into Joker's army during the war between Joker and Riddler for the right to kill Batman. Captured by Batman and returned to Arkham. Imposter era and return. During institutionalization, an imposter used the Mad Hatter identity. Upon escaping, the real Tetch disposed of the imposter and resumed crime, kidnapping Lucius Fox and attempting memory erasure for ransom. He became involved in a large group of Batman's enemies but escaped again. Perfect Day. Massacre. Tetch Tretch tried recreating a perfect childhood date with Alice by building a copy of the theme park, using mind-controlled civilians as background actors, kidnapping Alice, now an addict, killing her to spare her misery, killing multiple kidnapped girls who failed to meet his ideal, driving mind-controlled crowds into sewers to drown. One of his darkest events, Anarchy Incident. On Christmas Eve, Tetch harassed Gotham's homeless while searching for Alice. Captured by Batman. Later, Anarchy, Sam Young, Alice Young's brother, broke Tetch out to kill him. Batman and Bullock intervened. Tetch returned to prison. Young was arrested. Rebirth era. While suspected of new crimes, Tetch was instead found hospitalized, beaten nearly to death by a criminal known as the Red Queen. Arkham pattern. Despite his polite demeanor, Tetch is one of Arkham's most dangerous inmates. Can switch from gentle to homicidal instantly, would sneak contraband to other inmates, e.g. a plant for poison ivy, escaped repeatedly, freed again when Bane destroyed Arkham's walls, used mind-controlled thugs before being recaptured by Batman and Robin. Hack affiliations: Wonderland Gang, Secret Six, formerly Wayne Enterprises, The Society. Occupation: criminal, former neuroscientist. To be continued in GCPD Gotham Files. Here is Mad Hatter, GCPD Files Part 2, written in the same detailed dossier-style format as the previous installments. I kept the structure consistent and preserved every detail you listed, including affiliations, weapons, and story arcs. GCPD Files Mad Hatter Part 2, alias Mad Hatter. Real name Jervis Tetch. Status active escape threat level high. Affiliations: formerly Wayne Enterprises, Wonderland Gang, Secret Six, The Society. Primary weaponry: mind control hats, microtech implants, gas gun. Psych profile: obsessive compulsive tendencies centered around Alice in Wonderland, delusions, schizophrenia, childhood trauma, severe abandonment fixation, unpredictable mood swings. Highly dangerous due to his genius-level neurotech knowledge combined with emotional instability. Secret Six. After several violent encounters with Batman, Jervis Tetch was approached by Catman and recruited into the criminal strike team known as the Secret Six. They needed him as a countermeasure against Dr. Psycho, whose telepathic powers were a danger to the team. Ragdoll Incident. When Ragdoll attacked the Six under Dr. Psycho's control, Tetch placed his experimental thinking cap on Ragdoll's head, triggering a seizure and disabling him instantly. Doom Patrol battle. After the Six crash-landed, the Doom Patrol nearly captured them. Tetch, pushed to his limits, single-handedly mind-controlled the entire patrol, almost forcing Elastigirl to eat Beast Boy before being stopped by Scandal Savage. This shocked the Six, who had never seen the full range of Tetch's abilities. House of Secret Surveillance. Tetch revealed he had planted micro-listening devices around the Secret Six's base, keeping tabs on every member. Battle at Vandal Savage's temple. The Six tracked Scandal Savage to her father's hidden mountain temple, where Dr. Psycho ambushed them. Tetch fought Psycho one-on-one, even after being stabbed in the back with a poison dagger by Cheshire. He possibly killed Psycho using Cheshire's own blade. In an uncharacteristic moment, he saved Scandal from falling to her death. For the first time in his life, The Six told Tetch he had friends. Moments later, Ragdoll pushed Tetch off the roof, declaring there was only room for one freak on the team. Tetch survived the fall, heartbroken, and swore revenge. Wonderland Gang. At a later point, Tetch was enslaved by his own technology when Tweedledum and Tweedledee used his mind-control chips on him. Under their control, he led the Wonderland Gang through a string of themed heists and crimes. Batman uncovered the manipulation and returned all three to Arkham, where the Mad Hatter immediately retaliated by forcing the Tweeds into a bloody brawl. #Revenge Arc. The Mad Hatter hired the Secret Six again, this time to break Tarantula out of Alcatraz and escort her, along with a demonic get-out-of-hell-free card, back to Gotham. This put the Six directly in the sights of Junior, Ragdoll's murderous sister. Tetch revealed his real motivation wasn't the card. It was revenge on every member of the Six. During the confrontation on Gotham Bridge, he confronted his former teammates. Ragdoll tossed Tetch's hat into the river, and Tetch dove after it, falling from the bridge. He survived and later reappeared working alongside the Penguin, helping attach a mind control device to a gas mask meant for Batman, so Penguin could use him to assassinate Black Mask. Batman regained control and survived. Afterward, Tetch was sent back to Arkham. Breakout by Deathstroke just before a massive Arkham riot, Tetch hired Deathstroke and the Titans West, who liberated him from custody. Weapons and tech. Mind control hats, Tetch's signature creations. Once latched onto the victim's head, they're nearly impossible to remove by force.
Because it said that it's supposed to be,
ordinary citizens,
the Weber
trained
thing,
soldiers,
and it says supposed
peak
to be
condition fighters,
negative 20
gas gun,
tomorrow.
a small handheld sprayer weapon that discharges hallucinogenic gas, smoke, paralytic chemicals, used for ambushes or escapes. The imposter, Mad Hatter, and Hatman. A second criminal emerged while Tetch was institutionalized, claiming to be the new Mad Hatter. Like the original, he obsessed over hats and especially coveted Batman's cowl. Criminal career, stole hats for a personal collection. Joined Penguin's team, the Gangland Guardians, saving Batman from a bomb with one of his specialized hats. After the rival gang was defeated, he attempted to reform. Each attempt at heroism failed when his darker urges resurfaced. Batman apprehended him during a staged redemption attempt. Return of the original Tetch. When Jervis escaped Arkham, the imposter retired until years later when he resurfaced under the new name Hatman. He ran an underworld auction until Batman, Dick Grayson, and Robin, Damian Wayne, raided the event. He escaped during a breakout executed by Sumo. Occupation, thief. Status, at large. To be continued. Next installment will continue the file on the original Mad Hatter, covering additional crimes, Arkham psychological evaluations, major battles, connections to Joker, Scarecrow, Black Mask, Croc, and more. Updated threat assessment. Would you like part 3? More crimes of the normal Mad Hatter now? Understood. Here is GCPD Files, Mad Hatter Part 3, Pre-Origins Arkham Asylum Era, written exactly in the same dossier-style format as your previous parts, keeping every detail you provided, preserving the continuity, and maintaining the tone and structure of the earlier entries. GCPD Files, Mad Hatter, Part 3. Alias, Mad Hatter. Real name, Vistevich, nationality, British. Status, incarcerated, escape risk, extreme known affiliations, Wonderland Gang, Joker, temporary alliances, Gotham Underworld, various, formerly Wayne Enterprises Tech Division. Pre-Arkham Origins, Batman Year 2, Origins, and Early Descent. Jervis Tetch began his career as a neuroscientist and technician at Wayne Enterprises, specializing in neurological chemistry and microcircuitry. Known for brilliance but social withdrawal, he published radical theories claiming free will does not exist and could be overridden by chemical and electrical stimulation. Tetch's delusions escalated when he became obsessed with Alice Pleasance, a coworker. When she rejected him, he forced her under mind control. This failure accelerated a full psychological break. He later purchased a hat shop in the Bowery district, using the business as a front to test and refine his mind control technology. During this period, he fully adopted the persona of Lewis Carroll's Mad Hatter, believing the real Alice existed somewhere in Gotham. Alice Hunt murders. Tetch began kidnapping young women he suspected of being Alice. He murdered them once they failed his criteria, including Stephanie Williams, whose body was never conclusively linked to him due to his ability to eliminate forensic evidence. Forming a small criminal gang using brainwashed low-level offenders, Tetch prepared to capture Batman to add him as a knight or enforcer in his Wonderland fantasy. Arkham Origins Incident, Christmas Eve, Batman Year 2. The Invitation. To lure Batman, Tetch sent 3 hypnotized henchmen to the Dark Knight, singing his message to the tune of London Bridge is Falling Down. When they finished, he electrocuted them into unconsciousness, demonstrating his willingness to discard even his own pawns. He then contacted Batman through unknown, likely illegal telecommunications hijacking techniques, announcing the kidnapping of a girl he believed was Alice. The Hat Shop Confrontation. Inside his Bowery hat shop, Tetch finalized programming on new henchmen while complaining that they weren't addressing him properly. Concluding his brainwashing interface still needed refinement. Batman arrived and neutralized the thugs. When pressed for Alice's location, Tetch ensnared Batman in a hypnotic hallucination, forcing him into an artificial Wonderland dreamscape. Mindscape ordeal. Inside the illusion, Batman endured spatial logic puzzles, distorted Wonderland hallucinations, attempts to overwrite his identity. Batman broke free, confronted Tetch as he held Alice hostage, and disarmed him using a remote-controlled reverse Batarang. Alice suffered severe emotional trauma from Tetch's prolonged psychological manipulation. GCPD failed to respond that night due to Joker's simultaneous attacks, delaying Tetch's arrest until after the Cold Heart incident. Cold Heart incident. Following his capture, the GCPD transferred Tetch to Blackgate Prison. He was briefly evaluated by Dr. Harleen Quinzel, whose resemblance to Carol's illustrations triggered Tetch's Alice delusions. During this period, he assisted Joker in mind-controlling Dr. Ben Arnell. Task: transfer to Arkham Asylum, pre-Arkham Asylum game. When Quincy Sharp reopened Arkham for political purposes, Tetch was transferred there, either by scheduled relocation or recapture by Batman after an escape from Blackgate. Sharp's containment. Sharp, disgusted by Tetch's crimes, had him buried deep within the asylum, isolated for extended periods until his psyche deteriorated further. Hugo Strange, interference, professor. Hugo Strange targeted Tetch for exploitation. Believing Tetch's technology was the key to controlling Sharp, whom Strange needed as a puppet mayor, Strange manipulated Tetch through blackmail using the Stephanie Williams murder evidence, flattery of his hat obsession, promises of a new Alice. Tetch, mentally unstable and desperate, complied. Development of advanced mind control. Strange forced Tetch to upgrade existing chips, enhance chemical hypnotics, test prototypes on forgettable Arkham inmates. Strange secretly collaborated with Dr. Thomas Elliot, Hush, who may have performed operations on Tetch to increase compliance. Eventually, Tetch created a formula far more effective than Strange had hoped. With it, Strange brainwashed Quincy Sharp into believing he was the spirit of Arkham, developed the Tiger Guards, ex-military operatives mentally broken into perfect loyalty, abducted promising inmates from the streets to turn into additional Tiger soldiers. Once Strange mastered Tetch's formulas, he discarded him back into isolation. Strange's Alice for Tetch went missing, likely murdered by Tetch after realizing she was not the real Alice. Hatch escape and Joker alliance. Tetch escaped Arkham in a mass breakout and briefly joined Joker's forces, helping prepare to destroy a cathedral and release laughing gas. Later that same year, Robin cornered Tetch, who attempted to provoke him. Before Robin could escalate, Batman intervened. Tetch was recaptured, his gear seized, his clock stored in Arkham's property locker, his costume placed with Riddlers and Scarecrows in inmate storage. The runaway jury case. Released after serving a partial sentence for one conviction, Tetch immediately sought revenge on the 12 jurors responsible for sending him to prison. He kidnapped all 12, stole each of their hats, demanded ransom in the form of historic hats once owned by U.S. presidents, targeted Batman as the prosecution's primary witness. Batman stopped him and returned all hostages unharmed. Post-jury crimes and misadventures. Veronica Vreeland plots Tetch escape repeatedly, targeting socialite Veronica Vreeland in separate schemes, both ended by Batman. Gotham Town Amusement Park. Tetch constructed an amusement complex called Gotham Town, built atop one of Joker's old funhouses. He briefly allied with Bane before being defeated again. Arkham Control. Under Scarecrow, Tetch appeared among inmates under Jonathan Crane's rule during his takeover of Arkham. Justice League Incident. Mad Hatter successfully mind-controlled the entire Justice League, except Batman. Teen Titans Connection. Tetch shared a cell with Mad Mod, who borrowed Tetch's chemical recipes to shrink and enlarge the Titans. No Man's Land. During the No Man's Land crisis, Tetch partnered with Joker to recreate the Wayne murders. He hypnotized 2 Thomas and Martha Wayne lookalikes, even Alfred Pennyworth. He assisted Harley Quinn at Ace Chemicals and forced the Chessmen gang to restart toxic chemical production. Nightfall. During Bane's prison break of Arkham, Tetch escaped with the other rogues. He sent his pet monkey to plant a tracker on Talon, Bird's falcon, shot up a hat shop, and left Batman an invitation. Gathered criminals, including Film Freak, and forced them to wear control hats. Sent Film Freak to spy on Bane, leading to the Freak's death. Batman captured Tetch and his controlled mob, while Bane killed Film Freak. To be continued. Next, Mad Hatter Part 4, Arkham Asylum game events, Arkham City events, Arkham Knight era, additional post-crisis and rebirth crimes, final GCPD behavioral analysis. If you want, I can write Part 4 right now in the same style. Here is a clean, structured GCPD files, number 3.2, Mad Hatter Expanded Case File Entry, following the tone, format, and style of your previous installments. I kept all the lore you provided, but organized it into an official-sounding GCPD document, avoiding contradictions and keeping the continuity smooth. If you'd like, I can assemble all of these into a complete GCPD Files Volume 1 book once you finish the remaining entries. Check GCPD Files, number 3.2. Mad Hatter, subject name, Jervis Tetch, alias the Mad Hatter, JT, Wonderland. Classification, high-level technological threat, psychological manipulator. Status active, habitual offender. Last confirmed location, Gotham City, Park Row Sector. Patch subject overview. Jervis Tetch, known to the public as the Mad Hatter, is one of Gotham's most dangerous psychological manipulators and a leading criminal technologist. While small in stature and physically unimposing, Tetch's expertise in neurological interference, chemical hypnotics, auditory trance design, and microelectronic brain sync systems make him one of the most consistently high-risk offenders on the GCPD's psychiatric threat list. Tetch's obsessions, particularly with Alice's adventures in Wonderland, drive virtually all of his criminal activity. Many offenses escalate when Tetch identifies someone as Alice, triggering delusions, kidnappings, and prolonged mind control captivity. Affiliation with Joker. Documented incidents. Joker collaboration number 1, chemical retrieval, factory run. Tetch was a confirmed member of one of Joker's rotating villain squads, alongside Killer Moth, Scarecrow, Harley Quinn. The team was deployed to the chemical plant where the vigilante known as the Red Hood fell into the vat that transformed him into the Joker. Tetch was tasked with retrieving proprietary chemical agents for Joker's future gas formulas. Outcome: Batman and Robin intercepted the team. Tetch was subdued after attempting to deploy a weaponized hat containing explosive charges and hypnotic dust. All members were remanded to Arkham. Arkham Asylum post-breakout appearance. After another mass escape, Hatter was sighted near Gotham Theater wielding newly modified trick hats capable of inducing short-range trance states, delivering mild explosive payloads, broadcasting hypnotic commands through encoded nursery rhyme signals. Despite the escalation of his methods, he was apprehended and shuttled between Blackgate and Arkham, depending on the facility's security capacity at the time. Arkham Asylum incident, year unknown, Joker riots. Although Joker placed Tetch on the party list for the Arkham Island takeover, Hatter did not surface during the riot. Instead, Batman located his confiscated personal effects inside botanical gardens. Later Arkham City documentation confirmed Hatter was on Arkham Island at the time, but detained in the private subterranean wing used by Professor Hugo Strange to house irrecoverable inmates. Between the asylum and Arkham City, despite contributing the fundamental technology used to create the Tiger Guards, Strange viewed Tetch as expendable. Once Arkham City opened, Strange had him thrown inside the walled district, likely as a loose end who knew far too much about Protocol 10. Hatter established a hideout beneath an abandoned strip club in Park Row, amassing a small gang of hypnotized followers. Overpowered by the city-wide gang war, he shifted focus to acquiring Batman as the ultimate controllable subject. Arkham City Incident, the Mad Tea Party. Following Batman's rescue of Vicky Vale, Tetch used a remote hypnosis suggestion to lure Batman to his lair. Disguising the mental message as an audio feed from Alfred, Tetch convinced Batman that Lucius Fox had finished synthesizing a cure. Batman injected the cure, actually Hatter's hypnotic serum, and passed out. He awoke, strapped to a chair, surrounded by inmates in rabbit masks, forced into Tetch's Mad Tea Party hallucination. Tetch attempted permanent mind control using a rabbit cowl headpiece, but Batman resisted through sheer willpower and destroyed Tetch's latest hat. Post-Protocol 10, Hatter survived. Batman later found him grieving over the destroyed hat, still fixated on Alice. Catwoman also encountered him, using his confusion to extract information. After Arkham City, legal fallout and temporary freedom. Following the exposure of Arkham City's illegal operation, numerous inmates, including Jervis Tetch, won restitution settlements. Due to rapid legal pressure, GCPD was forced to release Tetch, though his equipment was permanently confiscated. This freedom was short-lived. Documented activity post-release. Ace the Bat-Hound incident. Tetch resurfaced with rebuilt hypnotic gear, but was disabled and captured by the vigilante canine Ace. Team up with Abracadabra. The stage magic criminal Abracadabra partnered with Hatter for a multi-city psychological attack. Both were apprehended by Flash and Batman. Riddler's Gambit, post-Joker death. 4 months after Arkham City's shutdown, Riddler attempted to step into Gotham's power vacuum. Tetch became one of his key conspirators, completing the following tasks. 1. Theft of Ra's al Ghul's journals. Tetch used the journals to construct a Wonder Guardian control device, combining mysticism with his mind control engineering. 2. Acquisition of a killer croc tooth used as biological misdirection to confuse Batman's ongoing investigation. 3. Casino hostile takeover operation. Hatter established a mind-controlled workforce at the Gotham Casino. Brainwashed gamblers forced to endlessly pull slot machine levers. Any subject who hit a jackpot was ordered to be executed by the others. Funds funneled into Riddler's larger operation. Batman intervened, dismantling the operation and extracting crucial intel on Riddler's overarching scheme. Behavioral notes. GCPD Psych Division. Nationality British. Primary delusion. Believes the Wonderland characters are real. Views himself as the canonical Mad Hatter. Main trigger. Any mention of Alice, blonde women, or particular excerpts from Carol's text. Threat level, high, due to ability to weaponize obedience in others. Preferred haunts, the Bowery, Park Row, abandoned hat shops, and the Iceberg Lounge, where he frequents for quiet corners, tea, and safe neutral territory. Current status, unknown. Last sighting confirmed during Riddler's Gambit. Pending activity suggests Tetch may be rebuilding his technology, likely seeking a new Alice, or attempting revenge against Batman. Case file to be continued in GCPD Files Number 4. If you want, I can now continue with GCPD Files Number 4. Next villain of your choice, or I can assemble a polished, special edition, Mad Hatter complete case file version.
Oh, also, can you pick up my medicine today? It's already at Walmart. Just mine.
Here is the final section of GCPD Files Number 3.2, The Mad Hatter, written cleanly and professionally in the same official file style as the earlier entries. All details you provided are preserved, organized, and written as a completed GCPD dossier entry. If you'd like, I can now move on to
day of
GCPD
school.
Files number 4, or begin assembling GCPD Files Volume 1 as a complete book. GCPD Files Volume 1, Number 3.2, Final Section, Arkham Knight Era, Wonderland, Case File. Arkham Knight Incident, Evidence and Early Investigation. Following the collapse of Arkham City, Jervis Tetch's hat and 2 of his rabbit masks were entered into the GCPD lockup evidence room, displayed beside a recorded commentary by Officer Aaron Cash. Cash explained that, due to the legal fallout after Arkham City, the department had been forced to release Tetch along with numerous other inmates. Rabbit masks identical to those worn by Tetch's Arkham City henchmen were later recovered in a derelict shop within the Arkham Knights underground headquarters. Solving the Riddler's associated clue revealed that Tetch's obsession had grown more depraved. He had begun forcibly dressing male victims as Alice when female captives did not satisfy his delusion. Season of Infamy, Wonderland Kidnappings. Tetch resurfaced fully during the Season of Infamy when media dubbed his new crime spree Wonderland Coming. Having come to believe that Batman was the only Alice who had never abandoned him, Tetch rewrote a copy of Alice's adventures in Wonderland into a twisted chronicle of Batman's suffering in Arkham Asylum in Arkham City. The pages were saturated with a hallucinogenic dust, designed to drag Batman into an illustrated nightmare once the book was opened. Target selection. To lure Batman, Tetch studied GCPD personnel records and selected 3 officers whose surnames echoed Wonderland characters. Cats, Cheshire Cat, Queen of Hearts, Hutch, White Rabbit. Using restitution money won after Arkham City, Tetch rebuilt his mind control technology, now capable of transmitting hypnotic commands through modified police sirens. Abductions and vehicle traps. Officers Katz and McQueen were hypnotized via siren frequencies, masked, and locked inside the trunks of their squad cars. Both vehicles were rigged with explosives and left in impossible-to-drive locations, suggesting Tetch used outside assistance to airlift or transport the cars. Each car was defaced with Tetch's characteristic Wonderland graffiti and left with sirens screaming to attract Batman. Tetch left a 3rd squad car rigged the same way, but containing no hostage, only his altered book Batman's Adventures in Wonderland, meant to ensnare Batman himself. Hutch's role? Hatter programmed Officer Hutch to return to GCPD carrying a concealed mind control mask. Once Batman arrived, Hutch would attack him. GCPD confrontation. Tetch arrived at GCPD unannounced, informing Cash that he had taken hostages and would speak only to Batman. He refused to stop speaking in rhyme, aggravating the staff. With no physical proof of his involvement, only missing officers and their absent, Cash reluctantly contacted Batman. Tetch taunted Batman, claiming he had made himself immune to pain to prevent interrogation. He offered rhyming clues to each car's location, forcing Batman to locate Katz and McQueen before confronting the 3rd trap. The Wonderland book hallucination. Upon returning with the suspicious 3rd car's book, Batman confronted Tetch. The moment the book opened, a hidden pop-up structure of Arkham Asylum released hallucinogenic dust. Batman was dragged into an illustrated nightmare world composed of the book's pages. Arkham Asylum, the Sione Steel Mill, GCPD headquarters. Tetch turned the book's pages at will, slapping them down like walls whenever Batman tried to escape. Throughout, he commanded Batman to follow the White Rabbit, revealed to be the masked and fully controlled Officer Hutch. Tetch tried desperately to force Batman to kill Hutch, insisting that only murder would prove Batman's madness matched his own. But Batman tore the mask from Hutch's face, breaking the trance and dispelling the hallucination. Apprehension and detainment. Return to reality. Batman found Tetch cowering in fear that he had again failed to make Batman his Alice. Knowing pain would yield no information, Batman simply knocked off Tetch's hat and dragged the screaming criminal to the GCPD West Wing holding cells. Tetch's pop-up book and hostage masks were secured in the new West Wing evidence room. Tetch spent the remainder of the Nightfall knockdown under maximum psychological observation. Before lights out, he quietly suggested again that Batman should become his new Alice. Post-Arkham Knight activity. final recorded sighting. Approximately 1 year later, the Joker, having again resurfaced, assembled a massive villain coalition including Zazas, Cheetah, Madmod, Despero, Chemo, Abracadabra, Lex Luthor, Firefly, Garfield Lynns, Harley Quinn, Killer Moth, Crazy Quilt, Davis Lamond, Mad Hatter. The coalition attempted a multi-city assault, but the operation collapsed when opposed by the combined efforts of Batman, Wonder Woman, the Teen Titans, Green Lantern, Superman, Green Arrow, The Flash. The Joker's mega team was defeated. Hatter was among those captured once again. End of file, GCP. Understood. Here is number 3.3. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Origin and complete case file, written exactly in the narrative style you've been using, preserving the order, continuity, and tone you established. No adjustments, no rewrites of your lore, just a cleaned up, narrative-ready version exactly as written, but formatted clearly. And GCPD files number 3.3. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Origin. Dumfrey and Deaver. Tweed are cousins who resemble each other so closely that they are often mistaken for identical twins. The pair are known as Tweedledum and Tweedledee as a play on words on their real names, and also because they disguise themselves as the characters in Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, achieving an uncanny resemblance to Sir John Tenniel's depictions of those characters. The two Tweeds always conduct their criminal activity in partnership with one another, and they prefer mastermind criminal schemes, often letting their henchmen carry out any necessary. Understood. Here is number 3.3. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Origin and complete case file, written exactly in the narrative style you've been using, preserving the order, continuity, and tone you established. No adjustments, no rewrites of your lore, just a cleaned up, narrative-ready version exactly as written, but formatted clearly. GCPD files number 3.3, Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Origin. Dumfrey and Deaver. Tweed are cousins who resemble each other so closely that they are often mistaken for identical twins. The pair are known as Tweedledum and Tweedledee as a play on words on their real names, and also because they disguise themselves as the characters in Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, achieving an uncanny resemblance to Sir John Tenniel's depictions of those characters. The two Tweeds always conduct their criminal activity in partnership with one another, and they prefer mastermind criminal schemes, often letting their henchmen carry out any necessary physical activity. Arkham Origins. Understood. Here is number 3.3. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Origin and complete case file, written exactly in the narrative style you've been using, preserving the order, continuity, and tone you established. No adjustments, no rewrites of your lore, just a cleaned up, narrative-ready version exactly as written, but formatted clearly. GCPD files number 3.3, Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Origin. Dumfrey and Deaver. Tweed are cousins who resemble each other so closely that they are often mistaken for identical twins. The pair are known as Tweedledum and Tweedledee as a play on words on their real names, and also because they disguise themselves as the characters in Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass, achieving an uncanny resemblance to Sir John Tenniel's depictions of those characters. The two Tweeds always conduct their criminal activity in partnership with one another, and they prefer mastermind criminal schemes, often letting their henchmen carry out any necessary physical activity. Arkham Origins, Batman Year 2. Incident. It is unknown if the Tweeds had started their criminal career, and if they had encountered Batman at least once by this point. Between Arkham Origins and Assault on Arkham Incident, early crimes. Around this time, the cousins officially began their criminal careers. Tweedledum and Tweedledee started their life of crime in Gotham City, stealing valuables from different places at the same time to confuse the police and local crime fighters, Batman and Robin. On their first encounters, the Tweeds were victorious over the dynamic duo, but on the fourth encounter, Batman and Robin stopped them and delivered them to the authorities. Not long after, the duo escaped prison and started a criminal racket using a fake hotel to lure people and steal from them. They were eventually discovered and captured again by Batman and Robin. They later worked for the Mad Hatter during one of his schemes, and were part of his Alice in Wonderland themed gang of henchmen. Sent out to distract Batman and Robin, they were defeated, and Batman scraped dirt off their shoes to locate the Mad Hatter's hideout. They were presumably arrested. Shortly after, the Tweeds set up a political campaign to become mayor of a town called Yonville. Using the law to arrest Batman and steal from the townsfolk, their scheme collapsed once Batman escaped prison and captured them. Over time, the Tweeds were diagnosed with a form of mental illness and locked away in Arkham Asylum. There, they formed an alliance with Joker, and upon escaping, they started a criminal spree in Metropolis. The Tweeds acted as Joker's enforcers, performing crimes Joker would not risk committing. They were stopped by the combined efforts of Batman and Superman. Return to Mad Hatter. The Tweeds later returned to the employment of the Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter, formulating a plan to mind control civilians into acting out his Alice in Wonderland fantasy, teamed up with Tweedledum and Tweedledee. By investing in Deaver's business, as well as several other locations around Gotham, Hatter bought himself hunting ground to find murders. Following the money trail, Batman confronted Tweedledee at the Wild Hare. After Tweedledee reminded Batman about the major surgery he received after their first encounter, Batman threatened him to stay out of trouble or expect another injury to his jaw. Ignoring the warning, Tweedledum and Tweedledee continued to help Hatter mind control people, being in charge of controlling the civilians under the spell. During the final showdown, Batman severely injured Tweedledee again, unhinging his jaw and leaving him for the police. Great Gang War of Gotham. During the massive criminal gathering in Robinson Park, Tweedledum and Tweedledee were present as events spiraled into violence. During the GCPD shootout, Dumfrey Tweed was killed. Later, Tweedledee and the New Dum appeared as members of Alexander Luthor Jr., a secret society of supervillains. Joker referred to them as Tweedledee and the New Dum, confirming the original Dum was dead and replaced by his brother Dumpson Tweed. Recently, Wonderland Gang Takeover. The new Tweedledum and Tweedledee joined the Wonderland Gang. Although originally believed to be run by the Mad Hatter, it was revealed that the Tweeds were actually running the gang, using Hatter's own mind control device on him to profit off his notoriety. They filled the gang with other pairs modeled after Alice in Wonderland: the Lion and the Unicorn, the Walrus, and the Carpenter. Mad Hatter eventually took revenge, attaching mind control chips to the Tweeds and forcing them to fight each other. After imprisonment, the Tweeds reformed the Wonderland Gang with the Walrus and the Carpenter, but were quickly apprehended by Batman, Robin, and Nightwing. City of Bane. When Bane took control of Gotham, villains were forced to join him or be hunted. Tweedledum and Tweedledee refused his offer. They joined a group with Scarecrow and Kite Man. When Batman found them, one of the Tweeds was shot in the back and killed during the escape. The surviving Tweed grabbed Kite Man's kite and jumped, but Scarecrow, to reduce their weight, gassed Tweed, causing him to fall, apparently to his death. But both Tweeds were later revealed to have survived and were saved by Batgirl. Later, they were defeated and captured alive by Batman and Catwoman. Subsequent crimes. When the gang attempted to bomb Gotham City, they were captured by Batman. They appeared again as henchmen of the Joker before returning to Mad Hatter, who was searching for the Batwoman villain Alice. The brothers assaulted the Gotham City Police Department and successfully broke Alice out, but were later apprehended by Batwoman. Later, they attempted to steal circuitry for Hatter's mind control gadgets, but were stopped by Batman. They eventually joined Babyface's gang. During the infiltration of Warehouse X, the Tweeds piloted twin mini-helicopters. They were later defeated by Blue Beetle. Assault on Arkham Incident. Tweedledum and Tweedledee were not present inside Arkham Asylum, but their equipment was stored there. Road to Arkham Incident. When Batman brought Joker back to Arkham Asylum, Tweedledum and Tweedledee were playing at the seesaw near the island entrance. They escaped once Batman broke through the gates, leaving their hats behind. Arkham Asylum Incident. Though they had escaped, Riddler left a riddle referencing them. Scanning the seesaw solved the riddle. Tweedledum and Tweedledee saw it. Can you see it? Between Arkham Asylum and Arkham City Incident. After Arkham Asylum shut down, the cousins tried to flee Gotham, but were monitored by Hugo Strange and the Riddler. They were apprehended at a Tiger checkpoint and transferred into Arkham City's population. Arkham City Incident. Within Arkham City, Tweedledum and Tweedledee worked under the Wonderland Gang. Disguised in stolen GCPD riot gear, they lured Vicky Vale into a trap, knocked her out, and delivered her to the Mad Hatter as one of the Alices in his forced tea party. Later, they guarded the hat shop during Hatter's ritual. Batman dropped from the roof and incapacitated both instantly. After Arkham City Incident. Several nights after the death of the Joker, around 4 a.m., Batman clashed with the Tweeds again inside Arkham City's ruins. Tweedledum became confused, thinking Batman was calling them Alfred, unaware the Dark Knight was speaking over comms. Batman replied mockingly that he couldn't bring himself to call a grown man Tweedledum, and knocked him out with the grapple gun. Before Arkham Knight Incident, hired by Penguin to steal the latest Batmobile, the Tweeds failed and were locked in Gotham Central Holding. The Arkham Knight later fired a shotgun into their holding cell, 3 shots total, with one hitting one of the Tweeds. All 3 inmates inside were presumed dead. However, but later we learn, Tweedledum and Tweedledee are not dead. Both survived their injuries through unknown means and eventually resurfaced in Gotham's criminal underworld. If you'd like, I can continue with NIT 3.4, Next Villain File, or expand any section into a full narrative chapter, or do a special edition compilation, 1 to 3.
What hour are you in?
Huh?
What hour?
Third.
How are you? Not my hour.
Oh, okay. Well, you're right.
Here is number 3.42 Tweedledee Case File, post Arkham City, written in the same style and continuity as the rest of your GCPD Files series. Hashtag GCPD Files number 3.42, Tweedledee. After Arkham City Incident. Following the chaotic breakdown of the Arkham City District and the re-roundup of surviving inmates, Tweedledee emerged as a lesser-known but still active member of the Tweed crime family. Unlike Tweedledum and Tweedledee, whose criminal histories were lengthy and theatrical, Tweedledee's involvement in Gotham's underworld came late and short-lived. Tweedledee's first and only documented job occurred during the secret transport of Batman's newest Batmobile prototype, imported discreetly from Germany. Penguin, looking to cripple Gotham's protector by removing his primary vehicle, hired the Tweeds as backup to a hijacking operation. Tweedledee was assigned as part of the trio meant to seize the shipment before it reached the Batcave. When Batman intercepted the attempted theft, Tweedledee panicked and tried to physically stop the Dark Knight by charging him directly. The move nearly cost him his life when he slipped and fell toward a fatal drop. But Batman, even in the heat of combat, managed to save him by grabbing onto his hair and yanking him back to safety. Despite the rescue, Tweedledee was incapacitated moments later. Batman successfully recovered the stolen Batmobile transport, secured the prototype, and left the 3 Tweeds incapacitated for GCPD collection. All 3 were transferred to Gotham Central Holding, pending processing and arraignment. While incarcerated and without warning, Tweedledee was shot by the Arkham Knight. The Knight opened fire through the holding cell bars with a combat shotgun, hitting the Tweed full force. The severity of the wounds led GCPD to assume immediate death, and the case was marked closed, pending autopsy. However, like the other Tweed relatives, the full truth of Tweedledee's fate remains unclear, as later reports and sightings suggest that not all of the dead Tweeds stayed dead. If you want, I can continue with number 3.5, the Next Villain File, or expand Tweedledee into a full multi-chapter story, or create a combined Tweed family case dossier. GCPD Files Number 4, Calendar Man, written in the same investigative, chronological style as the previous entries in your series. GCPD Files Before, Calendar Man. Status: incarcerated. Arkham Asylum classification: calendar-themed serial offender, psychologically driven criminal strategist. Threat level high, temporal obsessive compulsion violent. Modus operandi: crimes committed strictly according to dates, holidays, seasons, and anniversary events. Early history and first crimes. Here is GCPD Files Number 4, Calendar Man, written in the same investigative, chronological style as the previous entries in your series. Here is GCPD Files Number 4, Calendar Man, written in the same investigative, chronological style as the previous entries in your series. GCPD Files Before, Calendar Man. Status: incarcerated. Arkham Asylum classification: calendar-themed serial offender, psychologically driven criminal strategist. Threat level high, temporal obsessive compulsion violent. Modus operandi: crimes committed strictly according to dates, holidays, seasons, and anniversary events. Early history and first crimes. Julian Day, later codenamed Calendar Man, displayed an early fixation on time, ritual, and numerical patterns. His crimes have always been tied to the significance of the date on which they are committed, whether the meaning is historical, seasonal, cultural, or personal. He is known to tailor his clothing to match the theme of the specific date, though his primary suit features stylized calendar numbers protruding from the shoulders. First recorded case: the Crimes of the Four Seasons calendar. Man debuted by launching a crime spree themed around the four seasons of the year. Each heist reflected the imagery and symbolism of its respective season. This pattern brought him into conflict with Batman and Robin, who eventually confronted him during his attempted fifth season crime. Julian disguised himself as an Indian magician representing the monsoon season, the fifth season, but Batman unmasked him, ending his initial campaign. Crimes of the Days of the Week calendar. Man returned more dangerous and more organized. This time, he committed crimes based on the 7 days of the week, each with a custom costume and specific thematic symbolism. During his Thursday operation, Calendar Man used an ultrasonic thunder device, which resulted in serious internal injuries to Batman. With Batman bedridden, Calendar Man executed his Friday and Saturday crimes with almost no interference. Batman, recovering sooner than expected, deduced that Calendar Man would not attempt to steal the Egyptian artifact of Ra on Sunday, a day of rest. Instead, he predicted Julian would use Sunday for his escape, which proved correct. Batman intercepted him on the platform of the Western Sun Express, ending the week-long spree. Associations with the Joker. At one point, on April Fool's Day, Calendar Man assisted the Joker in pulling an elaborate prank on Batman, aligning his theme with the holiday. Later, he joined a minor villain collective known as the Misfits, composed of underappreciated Gotham criminals. The Long Halloween and the Holiday Killings. Calendar Man was incarcerated in Arkham Asylum when the serial killer known as Holiday began eliminating Gotham mobsters on major holidays. Batman consulted Julian, hoping to gain insight into another holiday-themed murderer. Calendar Man offered clues only to stay relevant, deliberately withholding his correct deduction. Holiday was actually Alberto Falcone. When he later escaped Arkham, Julian confronted Alberto directly. Calendar Man impersonated the ghost of Carmine Falcone, psychologically tormenting Alberto. He attempted to kill him, but was stopped when Sofia Gigante intervened. Sofia beat Julian so brutally that she broke his jaw, leaving him barely conscious for police to retrieve. The Hangman murders and later crimes. Another holiday-based killer, Hangman, surfaced the next year. Calendar Man once again became entangled in the investigation. On the following April Fool's Day, he again cooperated with the Joker during an unrelated scheme. Julian later murdered Judge Harkness, but his death sentence was overturned after psychiatric evaluation. He was ruled criminally insane and remanded permanently to Arkham Asylum as a patient under Dr. Penelope Young. Torture of Jason Todd. During the period when the Joker secretly held Jason Todd captive beneath Arkham Asylum, Calendar Man was among the few inmates entrusted with the secret. On a day in May, Julian brutally beat Jason with 365 punches, one for each day of the year. another demonstration of his date-based compulsions. Arkham Breakout. Up until Joker's takeover of Arkham Island, Calendar Man continued treatment under Dr. Young. When the Joker launched the Arkham Asylum incident, Julian was one of many inmates who escaped in the ensuing chaos. His current behavior patterns indicate escalating psychological deterioration, with Julian becoming increasingly obsessed with being remembered, fearing that holiday-themed killers like Holiday and Hangman have overshadowed his infamy. If you want, I can continue with GCPD Files.